Hi friends, this is Prasad. Welcome to my channel. And today's topic is encryption. So we'll be discussing more about what is encryption and what is Salesforce encryption and why does encryption matters and what are the things we need to consider before enabling this encryption in our Salesforce app. So let's get into the topic. So in general sense, right, data encryption is kind of a process of preventing unauthorized users from accessing your data, right? Or in a simple words, what we can say is hiding of our data from unauthorized users. So when data is encrypted, so it is basically made up of, or we can say like a coded using keys. The only people that can decrypt or that can understand the data are those with those keys, right? So when we talk about Salesforce encryption is one of the most effective ways to protect your data, to provide security of your data, right? Salesforce encryption can use two different schemes, right? The default scheme is kind of a classic encryption and a shield platform, right, which is known as a probabilistic encryption. So the probabilistic encryption uses a random patterns when encoding your data. So the which means, right, so the same data or same text, right, will be translated or will be encrypted with a unique cipher text, right? It means like uh, it will be translated, it will be decrypted into different unique characters every time you are encrypting, right? And when it comes to the limitation, right, the limitation with the probabilistic scheme is it is so complex, so that, right, your encrypted data is no longer filterable, right? You cannot filter your encrypted data. So Salesforce is also capable of encrypting your data using deterministic encryption scheme. So like most organizations prefer this method as because it is allows them to use the benefits of your data filterings, right? So we can discuss more about this later. And the like what we can do, what we can think of Salesforce encryption methods, right? Like there are two different ways, right? When we talk about, like, one is a classic encryption, another is shield platform encryption. So the first solution where Salesforce provides is a Salesforce Classic encryption. So this is basically a standard encryption functionality which Salesforce provides, which is including with a basic license agreement, right? And the more robust or more advanced feature is a kind of a Salesforce Shield platform encryption. So this service is available to all Salesforce clients or Salesforce users, but to access it, right, you should pay an extra amount, like along with that basic license agreement, right? And like when we like if you go to the trailhead, right, this Salesforce platform encryption is a module, right, where the sales will it's explained more easiest way to understand people what are the Salesforce platform encryption, what are the things we need to consider. So you can go through this module and you will have a more idea on this. It explains very easiest way to understand what is encryption and how to manage the encryption keys. So let's check for a sample scenario where how to look into that encryption, kind of how to enable this encryption. And we'll cover a scenario where you will face this encryption issue with the while enabling this encryption, how to deal with encryption. We'll cover with a small scenario. So to first of all, to enable this encryption, right, you need a you need a permission, right, where you need a manage encryption keys permissions, where you will get the clear idea when we go through this trailhead module. So because I have already gone through, I have created this permission set, where basically I'll show you that, like, basically you need this manage platform keys permission to deal with this platform encryptions or to deal with encryption. So I have enabled this permission manage encryption keys. And I will be assigning this particular assignment particular permission set to this user, which is my user. If you see, this is my user. So I have assigned this permission set to me, so that I'll be able to add this encryption. And when we go to Salesforce, if you can click on this platform, let me, yeah, just you can see platform encryption. So this platform encryption, you can have, if you click on advanced settings, you can have restrict access to encryption policy settings, and as of now you can have this deterministic encryption. I just enable this deterministic encryption so that it's Salesforce will allow you to select this deterministic encryption. And if you see, allow buyer to opt out the key derivation, right? So basically, and what is this mean? What does it mean, right? So bring your buyer means like bring your own keys, right? So generally when you encrypt, right, Salesforce will automatically generate their own keys, right? And Salesforce is kind of a dynamically allowing you to generate the get your own key to like encrypt your data, right? If you can get your own key, and Salesforce will generate or will encrypt the data based on your key. So Salesforce, you can, if you can enable, you can get your own keys, and you can click on this encryption policy, or what you can do, you can click on this key management, where basically you can import or export your keys, right? Your you can generate your tenant secrets, or you can click on bring your own key, what we're talking about, right? You can bring your own key, so that whenever you're encrypting, right, Salesforce will encrypt the data based on your provided, based on your keys, right? And okay, so when we talk about encryption, right, Salesforce will give you an option like you can encrypt the data, you can encrypt the fields, you can encrypt the files and attachments, you can encrypt charter as well, you can encrypt search index as well, you can encrypt change data captures events or platform events. So as of now we'll be discussing more about these fields. So you can enable, you can encrypt both standards and custom fields as well. So we'll discuss it, we'll cover a scenario with the standard fields. So and before encrypting it, you need to, if you see, you understand the limitations. So as we discussed, right, what are the limitations for this encryption, right? So let's get it, like, so basically when you talk about limitations, right, so encrypted field, as you know, encrypted field can't be used in kind of aggregator functions, right, such as max, minimum. You have aggregated roller summary fields, right, and aggregated fields, and we cannot use in a where class, we cannot use in group by class, or we cannot use in order by class in SOQL and SSL. And encrypted fields cannot be used sorry, cannot be used in criteria based sharing rules, or similar opportunity searches, or external lookups, or skinny tables, or filter criteria for data management tools, or kind of a duplicate management matching rules. So these are the limitations. So we need to go through these Salesforce documentation, which covers all the limitations of sealed platform encryption, right? Before you need to go through that, and you need to understand before enabling this encryption. So let's see, like, let's suppose I want to encrypt this particular data, and let's suppose when we talk about this contact, like, I just want to, because we have this SSN number, we have names or something where we need to encrypt some in some of the requirement, right? So I'm going through the, for testing purpose, I'm going to this phone field, and I'm just selecting this probabilistic encryption, and I'm clicking on save. Let's see how it goes. So it basically, what will do when you are enabling this encryption, Salesforce will run a job in the back end, so that it will give you, it will say, it will send you the status of this encryption, right, once it is done. So based on that, yeah. So if you see, we have this email from Salesforce, which means encryption enabled or normal encryption enabled has failed with the following fields. Okay, so now, yeah, if you see, I have tried to enable a field called phone and contract. It is saying encryption enablement failed with the following fields, saying like contract apex or something. So okay, if you can, he has already, Salesforce provided this uh, link where it is showing, it will mostly cover why, what are the major failures, or what are the scenarios which may fail. It will give you scenarios, and you can go through this link as well to understand more. And if you see, okay, it's gave me a class where it is showing line number 9, field phone cannot be filtered in a query call. Okay, let me go to that particular class. Okay, you see line number 9. Okay, so if you see, I have used this phone field in a where filter, right, in where class. So as we discussed previously, right, when we are enabling this probabilistic encryption, that particular field or encrypted field cannot be filtered, right, whether it's a group by class, where class. So this is one of the limitations, right? So basically we may need to filter, or we may need to write an SOQL or filter those queries, or filter those fields based on our requirement, right? So we need to consider these kind of a scenarios as well. So uh, let's see like how it was like. So because if you talk about this encryption, right, where this we need to use this filter. So the workaround for this is basically either if that is possible, if you can filter with any other field which is non-encrypted or non which is field which is not encrypted, right, either you can use that as well. Otherwise what you can do, you can write an SOSL field, because for deterministic encryption SOSL field we can, there is no limitation on SOSL field. So what you can do, let me try that example. You can write something like I'm just commenting down this just for illegal conversion. Okay, so because see, as you know, written type of this SOQL is list of subjects, right, but written type of SOSL list of subjects. So what I will do, I can do like this, which is the first written type is a contact, right? Yes. So now I'll go again. I'll just refresh the screen. But I'll go on edit, and I can see this phone field, and it's a probabilistic encryption, and click on save. Let's wait for the Salesforce to show us what happened at the back end. Yeah, if you see, uh, now sales encryption is now enabled for one or more field. These fields use probabilistic encryption, contact phone. So that means say now the encryption is enabled for this contact field. So this is one of the scenario which we covered. And basically as I told you, right, there is a limitation with the probabilistic encryption, where you cannot filter, or you cannot use an where class or group by class. So you can make use of this as objects or list, sorry, SOSL, instead of this SOQL. Otherwise if you can change this particular filter field to some other field based on your, if that suits your requirement, right, you can use that as well. Otherwise what you can do, we have this schema, like schema methods, right, where basically you can check for particular schema. Let's suppose, like for example, what I can see is, we have the schema field, right, like let me give you just for example purpose. Yeah, if you see the schema data subject, the contact fields, and if you can see, if you can add in our scenario, you can add it of phone, right? Phone is a filterable. So basically, as you know, if that particular field is encrypted, right, it is not filterable. So this is filterable should be returning as false, right? So if that particular is true, so you don't need to worry about this encryption, means that is not encrypted, and even though if it is encrypted, it is a filtered. So you can write your own logic or based on your, if that is a false condition, means it is not filterable, then this where clause is won't work. So in that case, you need to write a logic which covers this encryption. Either you need to avoid that particular field, or you need to use some other filter criteria. You can do that kind of data. Let's, you can use this SOSL kind of thing. So this is one of the way to can identify whether it's a particular field is filterable or not. Otherwise, if your requirement matches, right, what you can do, you can fetch your data without filters, and we have this we have an in Apex, we have this filter, right? And you can make use of Apex, and you can filter your data based on your requirement, and you can pass that particular data, filtered data, to your process, or to your class, Apex class, or to your requirement. You can basically, we can filter your data in our own ways, right? In our Apex class, you can filter your data without writing or without filtering in SOQL. You can do that as well. And other thing is, one major point is like, whenever you're testing this, right, try to test the scenarios, or try to test or cover this and all these scenarios in your sandbox environment, and then you can push it to your production, so that you won't be able to do all these exercises and trial and errors with your production data. So this covers all of, like, you can go through Salesforce modules, right? The Salesforce which I have provided, I can attach to that video as well. This covers most of the topics, or most of the use cases where you might face in your real-time scenarios. So that's it, friends, and thank you very much for watching this.